Alright, this is Ken, and this is part 2 of standard score, or z-score. In the last one, we learned that we can go through a process of finding the difference between the value and the mean, divided by the standard deviation, and that gives us what we call the z-score. I'm going to review that right here with this problem. Final exam for psych has a mean of 84 and a standard deviation of 4. So anything better than 84 is better than average. Anything less than 84 is worse than average. But to put it in terms of something that's comparable to other classes and other results, we need to standardize it. So we want to create a z-score. So we're going to find the corresponding z-score for each raw score. So 87 is the first raw score here. So how do we do it? We go x minus mu divided by sigma. 87 minus 84 tells us that the person did 3 points better than average, but to standardize it or normalize it, we divide by the standard deviation. I'm not sure if normalize is the right terminology. That might be from a different math area, but oh well, I said it. You understand it, I hope. So to standardize it, we divide by the standard deviation, and what we see is this score is 0.75, 3/4 of a standard deviation away from the mean. So going back to our previous page, we had 1.5 was the calc test. We had 1 was the history test. And so we see now that 0.75 is now this psych test. So worse overall, right? 0.75 is still better than average, but it's not as good as 1 standard deviation or 1.5, which we saw in the last example. Let's look at D here. D is a score of 76. When we subtract 84 and divide by 4, we get negative 8 over 4. Now the negative indicates to us that this is worse than average, and indeed it is 2 standard deviations away from the mean in the negative direction, so it's 2 standard deviations worse than average. Okay, not only can we take a value given a mean and a standard deviation and find the corresponding z-value, but we can also do what we see here in example 12, or problem 12 from page 161. The average teacher's salary in a particular state is $54,166. If the standard deviation in that state is 10,200, find the salaries corresponding to the following z-scores. So to do that, we have 2 options. We can throw it in the formula we already know, or we can use this formula which I derived over here. I'll do it this way first, just so you can see why it works. We want to find the salary that corresponds to 2 standard deviations above the mean. So we put in a 2 for z. X is what we're looking for, because we're looking for the value. The average is 54,166. And sigma, the standard deviation, is that amount. So how would we solve an algebra problem? Sorry, that's a 2. It doesn't look very good. Like this. Well, we'd multiply both sides. Cross multiply if you want. Okay. Put the 10,000 up there. You get 400. And when you get this negative off this side, by adding it, you get, let me just write it there. X. And that's it. Okay? But a shorter way to do it would be to do it with this formula. This formula does all the steps of the algebra that I did over here, but it does them ahead of time. So to get sigma off the bottom, I multiply both sides by sigma. Gives me sigma z on the right. And then I add mu to both sides, and that gives me sigma z plus mu, but I don't like that order. I like mu plus sigma z. It's just a preference I have. And so now we have 54 when you sub in the values, 166 plus 10,200 times 2. Actually, I like it better when the z is in front of the sigma, because it doesn't matter, right? Multiplication is the same in either order. But either way, you get the same result. So that's another way you can use a z-score, and that formula is if you want to know what value would put you at a certain rank or a certain position within the data, you can calculate that by kind of reverse engineering. I'd also like you, if you have time, in your book, just 13, 14, and 15 good problems to try out. I think the answers to the odds are in the back. 13 and 14 and 15 are like the example I did in the first video. So try those out, see how it goes. If you have any questions, you know where to find me. Okay, we're done. Bye.